Today, we're diving into a really powerful philosophical system from ancient India. It's a system that was designed to answer one of the biggest questions we all face. How do we act with clarity when we're surrounded by confusion?
So, let's start with this incredible statement from the Bhagavad Gita, because it really sets the stage. What it's saying is that action isn't optional. It's just a fundamental part of being alive. Even when you choose to do nothing, that's still an action, isn't it? A mental one.
And that's the real dilemma, isn't it? We have to act, but so often we're just paralyzed by doubt or fear or all these conflicting duties pulling us in different directions. And it's a feeling we can all relate to, whether our personal battlefield is an office, our home, or maybe just a really tough conversation.
So the big question is there some kind of framework for thinking, a sort of mental operating system that can help guide us through that paralysis and help us find the right way forward? Well, that's exactly what we're going to tackle.
This whole thing kicks off with a crisis. Arjuna's crisis on the battlefield is the starting point for one of the world's most profound philosophical systems. And what's amazing is that it wasn't designed for quiet contemplation in a monastery. Nope, it was built for high-stakes, real-world decisions.
So, the answer to Arjuna's problem, and maybe ours too, is found within what's called the Triple Foundation of Vedanta philosophy. You've got the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, and the Bhagavad Gita. And together, they give us a complete roadmap for living a life of purpose and real clarity.
All right, so let's pop the hood on this operating system. It's made of 3 parts, right? And they're distinct, but they're all interconnected, each playing a totally unique role in building this foundation of wisdom.
Okay, so take a look at this. This table breaks it down beautifully. First, you have the Upanishads. Think of these as the poetic, revealed truths. They answer the big question, what is the nature of reality? Then, you get the Brahma Sutras, which provide the rigorous, logical proof. They answer, why is this true? And finally, you have the Bhagavad Gita, which gives you the practical application. It answers the most important question, how do I actually live this truth?
And if that still feels a little abstract, check out this analogy. I absolutely love this. The Upanishads are like the vast, formless clouds of high philosophy. The Brahma Sutras? That's the logical plumbing that channels all that wisdom. And the Gita? Well, the Gita is the glass of water you can actually hold in your hand and drink to quench your thirst for clarity. Brilliant, right?
Okay, so this all sounds great, a perfect system for clarity. But that begs a pretty big question, doesn't it? If this comprehensive system for living exists, why do most of us, just like Arjuna, still feel so lost and confused so much of the time? What's getting in the way?
Well, the answer is a single fundamental obstacle. It's an illusion that completely distorts our perception of reality, and more importantly, our perception of ourselves. This obstacle has a name, Maya. And no, it's not like a hallucination. Think of it more like a powerful filter over your reality that works in 2 ways. First, it veils or hides our true eternal nature. And second, it projects a false identity onto us. This idea that I am just my body, my name, my job, my social media profile. It's that gap between who we really are and the persona we put on for the world. So what this really leads to is a simple but huge logical error. It's called superimposition. We basically mistake the properties of our body and mind for the properties of our true self. I mean, think about it. The body gets hungry, but we say, I am hungry. The mind feels anxious, but we say, I am anxious. We're constantly transferring these temporary limits onto our limitless consciousness. And get this, the Gita actually maps out this whole psychological downward spiral. It's like a chain reaction that happens when we're caught in this error. And it starts so simply, just by thinking about something. That contemplation leads to attachment, which becomes desire. Then, when that desire isn't met, anger bubbles up. And that anger clouds our judgment until step by step, we completely forget who we really are. So, when you see that ladder of fall, the next question is obvious, right? How do you stop it? How do we break that cycle? Well, the Gita proposes this really powerful method for piercing through that veil of Maya, and you can do it right in the middle of your daily life.
And this famous verse right here, this is the master key. It introduces the idea of nishkama karma, or selfless action. The core idea is to act with total excellence, to do your duty to the best of your ability, but to completely let go of any attachment to the outcome, whether that's praise, money, or recognition. Psychologically, this is just incredibly freeing. It slashes the stress of expectation and lets you focus completely on the task at hand. It's how you detach your ego from what you do. Okay, but here's where you might hit a snag. To act with clarity, you need a coherent worldview. But if you dig into the Upanishads, you find what looks like a major contradiction. Some parts describe a personal God with all these qualities, while other parts describe a totally formless, absolute reality. So, which one is it? How can both be true? This is where that logical pillar becomes absolutely essential.
And this is where the Brahma Sutras come in and do something brilliant. They resolve this with pure, rigorous logic. They introduce this amazing concept of levels of reality. They say yes, the ultimate truth, Brahman, is totally formless. But for a person on their journey, that same reality appears as a personal God. It's like how the sun looks red at sunset, but is really white at noon. Same sun, just viewed through a different lens.
So, you take that deep, intuitive truth, you back it up with solid logic, and then you live it out practically. What does that actually look like in a person? Well, the Gita gives us a very clear picture.
The Gita has a name for this person, astita prajna, a person of steady, unshakable wisdom. They aren't defined by doing nothing, but by this profound inner stability. They can pull their senses back from distractions, kind of like a tortoise pulling its head and limbs into its shell. They are totally unshaken by success or failure, pleasure or pain, because they realize it's not I who is acting, but it's just the forces of nature moving through them.
And this all leads to the ultimate goal of the whole system, moksha, or liberation. But here's the twist, and it's a big one. It's not about achieving some new heavenly state. It's about removing an error in your perception. It's just like being terrified of a snake in a dark room and then someone flips on the light. You haven't created anything new, you've just had that aha moment where you realize the snake was just a piece of rope all along.
Okay, that's the high-level view, and it's all pretty profound. But how do we bring this down to earth? How do we turn this philosophy into something we can actually do in our daily lives? Well, the system gives us a really clear, actionable method. Believe it or not, it really boils down to this super practical two-step daily practice. First, witness meditation. So before you send that stressful email or walk into that tough meeting, just pause. Observe the anxiety or the excitement. Acknowledge it without judging it, just recognizing, I am the one watching this feeling. I am not the feeling itself. And second, dedication of action. As you're doing your work, whether it's coding or parenting or making art, just mentally offer up the results to a higher purpose, whatever that might mean to you. This single act severs your ego's clinging attachment to the outcome.
And really, this is the mental game changer right here. It's this little internal script you can run that reframes your entire experience. You recognize that, yeah, the body is doing its thing, the mind is thinking its thoughts, but my true self, my I, is simply the silent, unchanging presence in which all of this is happening.
Which brings us right back to where we started. If our very existence is an action, and we now have a framework for acting with purpose and clarity, then the only question left, the one we have to ask ourselves every single day, is this: what is my existence creating?